Guten Tag! Heute mache ich Swabian Maultaschen. Today I'm making a delicious German dish known as Swabian Ravioli. Packed full of tender ground meat, spices, and some herbs. It's so good, so delicious, and it rests in a delicious savory beef broth. And I'm going to show you just how I make it. Let's get started. Okay, so to make our Swabian Maultaschen, first and foremost, it starts out with the dough. So what I did is I mixed in my bowl some flour, some salt, an egg, and some water, and I stirred it until it was well incorporated, and then I kneaded my dough for about 5 to 6 minutes. I let my dough rest for an hour, and what you see here is I have rolled out my dough. So I rolled it out lengthwise so that it's nice and thin to make our delicious sheets for our delicious Maultaschen. So what I have here is I have my ground beef. So to that I'm going to add 1 whole egg. I'm just going to mash that together. And this is going to be our delicious filling for our Maultaschen. So I'm going to sprinkle it with a little bit of salt, a little bit of dried oregano, and then I also have some onion that I have grated. If you don't have a grater, then you can just chop it really finely, but I really like the texture of it being grated because it really melts into the meat. So I'm going to add just a few big tablespoons right into my meat. Give it another stir. And then I have some herbs. I have some chopped parsley and some chopped dill. So I'm going to add both of those right in. Beautiful. I love the color of using fresh herbs, especially when working with meat. It just really adds an extra beautiful touch. So as you can see, it's really coming together. That looks great. And to this, I have some bread. So it's just some leftover French bread that I had from dinner last night. So I basically just crumbled it up and then I added some milk. And I did this a few hours ago, so it's nice and soft. I'm not going to add all of this, but I'm just going to start with a handful of it and see how much we need. So I'm just going to mix it in. You could also use breadcrumbs, but I really love the texture of the milk with the bread because it's nice and soft. It makes for a really nice, tender piece of meat. Really great for meatballs too. So I'm going to add a little bit more of my bread mixture, just like that. And that's the thing about this recipe is sometimes you need to add a little bit more, sometimes you need to take a little bit away, but it's good to just kind of feel the mixture. So I don't want it to be too moist, but I also don't want it to be too dry. So I'm also going to add in the rest of my bread, just like that. And the bread has completely absorbed the milk, so you can't even see the milk anymore, but the bread is nice and soft, and it incorporates so nicely into the meat. So a nice flavor too. Alright, that's looking so good. And now it's time to start assembling our Maultaschen. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is take some of my meat. I'm going to grab a spoon from my cupboard here. And I'm going to form like little meatballs. So you can also do this with a melon baller or an ice cream scoop. But basically what I'm going to do is take a little bit of the meat and shape it into little meatballs, just like that, and place it on my dough in increments to shape our Maultaschen. So I'm just going to continue leaving some space so that I can cut each one of the ravioli. And just like that. So I'm going to keep going until I have all of my meatballs placed on, and then it will be time to fold it all together to finish off our Swabian Maultaschen. So good. Okay, so I have all of the meat neatly arranged on my dough, and I've already started pre-preparing a few of my Maultaschen, as you can see here. They look so good. So let me show you how I do it. So what I do is I have 1 egg here that I've just whisked together, and with my pastry brush, I'm just brushing all along the edges. So the egg is like our adhesive, what keeps our delicious ravioli together. I love this recipe because it's really so beautiful and so delicious, and who doesn't love a great ravioli? So Again, I'm just brushing the sides, making sure that everything is coated with the egg wash because we want our Maultaschen to stay together as they cook. That is the worst thing, is when your ravioli pops open after all of the work. So we want to make sure that we really coat it with the egg wash here. So just around the edges here. And if you didn't have a pastry brush, you could just use maybe like your finger or just a little spoon. You could get kind of creative with it, but I find it to be super, super handy to have one of these in the kitchen, just a little pastry brush. Alright, and then again, right in the center on each side of our little meat chunks. And this is why I like to do the meatballs also, because I can see portion-wise how much meat I'm putting down on there, so it doesn't get too out of control. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is take each side and fold it on top of each other. And since this is a really long one, I'm just taking bit by bit, folding it over, just like that. So you see that each side should cover about half of your meat chunk. If you have too much meat in there, it's not too late to take a little bit out. It will definitely save you in the end. So then I'm just going to fold over my other side, just bringing the dough so it overlaps. And like I said, this is a long piece, so I'm just taking bit by bit here. But if you have a shorter piece of dough that you're working with, then of course you can do it a little bit faster. Just like that. So the meat is kind of nicely, neatly enclosed in our little pasta package. Now what I'm going to do is just with the sides of my palms of my hands, just pressing down to kind of create the indentation so I know where to cut. So I'm going to cut off the square ends that I don't need, just like that. And then carefully I'm just going to cut just in between each of our Swabian Maultaschen, just like that. Perfect, that looks great. So now what I'm going to do is just dip my fork to the egg wash and then just crimp the edges ever so slightly, just like that, so that it stays intact. Like I said, I don't want them to open up in my boiling water, so I want to make sure that they're nicely wrapped together. So good. Perfect. So now what I've done is I've taken a piece of parchment paper and just dusted it nicely with flour, pretty generously, because I find that in some cases they do stick, and then it makes it really difficult to actually take off and put it to the pot, and you risk ripping open your Maultaschen. So I'm just going to place these here. Now these guys are ready to go to the boiling water. They're going to cook until the meat is nice and tender, and then we can enjoy our delicious Swabian Maultaschen. So good. Okay, so I have just taken my delicious Swabian Maultaschen out of the pot, and they have cooked so nicely. It took about 10 minutes for them to cook. In the meantime, I just prepared a simple beef broth, and so now I'm going to add some of my delicious Maultaschen to my broth. So I'm just going to take a couple and just gently place them into my broth. Looks so good. And now I have a combo of some parsley and some fresh dill, kind of like what's inside of the Maultaschen, just to garnish right on top. Beautiful. And then there we have it, our delicious Swabian Maultaschen. So good, so simple, and all homemade. So thank you so much for checking out this video for how to make Swabian Maultaschen. I definitely hope that you enjoyed it, and I definitely hope that you give it a try for yourself in your home kitchen. And until the next video, thanks for watching, and I can't wait to see you next time. See ya!